Hello, this is Duncan Evans for the Brutally Delicious podcast. Today I'm reviewing a record called The Whole World Awaits You by Marc Ribler. So Marc Ribler has a really impressive CV. For the past 5 years, he has been the musical director and guitar player for Little Steven and the Disciples of Soul. Little Steven is also known as Stevie Van Zandt, who famously has performed with the E Street Band for many years, with Bruce Springsteen, of course. So Marc Ribler himself has also played with Springsteen and with such luminaries as Carole King, Elvis Costello and Paul McCartney. And Stevie Van Zandt also co-produced this record with Marc Ribler. So, Marc Ribler's solo record, The Whole World Awaits You, it was written between 2005 and 2020 and finished during the pandemic. It's very poppy, very accessible, very easy to listen to. It's like an old school pop record in the sense that it has a rock band lineup, but we have very catchy choruses, very memorable melodies, and we have short, concise songs that follow the traditional verse-chorus structure. But there's also a lot of guitar solos and things like that. There's loads of slide guitar. There's some Hammond organ, and there's a bit of a bluesy feel to things, which gives the whole record quite a strong Americana feel. You've got this really nice, big, huge production with lots of different instruments, a really lush sound. There's a melancholy edge and a bit of an indie edge to some of the songs that reminds me of artists like Elvis Costello, Richard Hawley and Elliott Smith. But predominantly, we're looking at comparisons to people like Tom Petty, both actually in terms of Marc Ribler's voice and in terms of the style of songwriting. And some of the people that we've mentioned, such as Bruce Springsteen, and indeed those real classic 60s artists like the Beatles, maybe the Byrds, bands like that, when there was maybe less of a divide between rock and pop. So these songs are really, really well written. The whole thing's expertly produced, really well put together. Ribler's voice is great. The arrangements and production are really, really fantastic. If you want something gritty, edgy, and a bit raw, then that is not going to really be this record. It's, in a way, quite light. It's very easy to listen to, very palatable, very accessible. So if you like that sort of thing, if you like your organic pop music, I suppose you could call it, and if you like your Americana, your accessible Americana, then I think you're going to find a lot to love about this record. But it's very much a pop album. This is not a metal album. This is not a hard rock album. This is a pop album with nods towards Americana, nods towards blues, nods towards classic rock. So if you like that sort of thing, I think you're going to love this record. It's out now. It's on Steve Van Zandt's label, which is called Wicked Cool. Thanks.
Ever wonder what a punch from Elton John feels like?
Or how you'd cope with having turned down the chance to be in Nirvana?
Or what signal Keith Richards gives when he wants you to get the hell out of his hotel room?
Fans of Too Much Effing Perspective don't have to wonder, because they've heard these exact stories and a jillion others on our podcast. I'm Alex Hoffman, former tour manager for Radiohead.
And I'm musician and comedy writer Alan Keller. On the TMEP show, we get guests like Nancy Wilson from Heart, Jeremiah Freites from the Lumineers, and Modern Family's Julie Bowen to tell us things they may have only shared with their therapist, clergy, or a TMZ stringer.
So join us on Too Much Effing Perspective. That's EFFING Perspective. The only podcast you crank up to 11.